Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. Today's topics of my presentation is leadership, and we are going to talk about 4 fundamental pillars of leadership in sports, especially in team sports and especially focused on coaches. And for me, it's very important topic because I feel like coaches have such a huge impact on not only on physical development of players, but also on their personal development, especially in children. So we're gonna talk about what actually makes a coach a good leader. But first, maybe let me introduce myself. My name is Zuzana Pšenáková, and I work as a sports psychologist. My experience is working with national teams, national football teams, in football clubs. I also played football, and for about 7 years I've been working with professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and also young athletes to help and try to develop their mindset. And I'm really looking forward to this presentation. So keep up with me, please, and let's start. First question that I have for you is, who is a leader for you? I want you to really think about people who you respected in your life or who you still respect. Maybe coaches from the times where you were playing, maybe coaches who you like the most, maybe a boss that you have right now in your job and is a really a good leader. Or maybe try to think about the bad examples, like what coaches you didn't like, what they did. I really want you to think about what is the difference between a good coach and a bad coach, like the coach you like that you wanted to follow and the coach you didn't want to follow. What's the difference between them? What do they do differently? So how do they treat you? How do they handle situations? How do they react to you? How they talk to you? What's the difference between these two? Let's maybe pause here, give yourself 2 or 3 minutes to think about it, and then continue with the presentation. All right. When you went through the analysis of what was a good coach and who was a not good coach, I guess it's clear to say that the coach is not automatically a leader. A coach, you can get a job and you start to be a coach, but it doesn't mean that you immediately, when you start to be a coach, that you immediately become a leader as well. Leadership is earned. It doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen with the position that you are right now. You are head coach, so everyone follows you. No, true leadership has to be earned. And there are 4 pillars that I think, from my experience, and also from what the literature says, there are 4 pillars that make a really good leader. The first pillar is trust and respect. Now, what it means? Leadership is not earned by fear. I've met lots of coaches who thought that, the more players fear them, the bigger respect they have. No, it doesn't work like that. The players are scared of you. That's why they follow you. But it's not a good example because it doesn't last. It doesn't last, and it has negative consequences on the relationship that you have with the team and the players, and on their personal and physical development. We're gonna talk about it in a minute, but it's the first and the most important part. Is the pillar is trust and respect. Another important pillar is like having and being a leader of rules. What it means: the coach is someone leader is someone who really sets up rules, who create them, and who try who controls if they are followed. If this doesn't happen, again, you don't have any rules and the team is probably not very disciplined. Third important pillar is expertise and taking responsibility. Players need someone who they can really lean on when things are going bad. So a good leader is someone who faces the situation, who takes ownership, who takes the leadership, takes responsibility, and tries to solve the situation. And the last one, but definitely not the least important one, is emotional intelligence. I think if you want to be a good leader, you really need to be able to work with your own emotions and with the emotions of your players and your team. If you don't know how to work with your emotions and how to work with emotions of your players, you're probably never gonna be perceived as a really high quality leader, because especially in situations when emotions are rising, we need someone to take the leadership. And if the coach doesn't do it, then again he loses respect, loses the authority in the eyes of athletes. So let's start with the first and the most important for me, the most important pillar, which is trust and respect. And I already talked a little bit about why it is important. So let's jump into examples of good practice. So how it should look like and how the coach should behave in terms of building trust and respect. So one of the examples of good practice is that the coach asks and is genuinely interested in players' opinions, and the coach doesn't really belittle the opinions. So even if the coach doesn't agree with the opinion, he tries to respect the player, respect their opinion, and then discusses the different views. When we look at the opposite, the kind of the bad example or the example of poor practice in terms of taking opinions from others, we can say that the coach could ignore, doesn't even ask question. The coach would probably, I don't know, judge players by their opinions, and maybe even, I don't know, make fun of their opinions. Again, if we talk about some good practice, I think it's really important that the coach frequently asks about emotional and health state of and physical well-being of players. Now, again, I've met many coaches who don't care about the even the health status of the players. So they push them to play even when they are sick. They push them to play even when they are injured. They don't care about their emotions. They don't care about what's happening with the player, and it definitely has many negative consequences on their health, physical development, and also the psychological development. Because if I ignore that my player is injured or my player is sick, I can definitely encourage some serious illnesses or serious injuries to happen for the player. The same thing with emotions. Okay, another example of a good practice is, for example, after making a mistake. So when players don't feel very confident, I think it's important that the coach tries to see this and encourage players to try again, and he tries to build confidence in the player. Unfortunately, I met many coaches who try to, when a player made a mistake, they did the opposite, and they kind of took the confidence from the player. So they were yelling at them. They told them that, you should start playing, when are you gonna wake up, and stuff like that, which again, if I want to have a good relationship with the player, or if I want the player to respect me, I need to be someone who the player leans on when things are going bad. And another example of good practice is when coach really prioritizes the player's health above all else, whether it's mental health or physical health. And I think that's there are not many players in the youth who are actually going to make professional athletes who are that's gonna be their only job. So I think it's important that through the sport activities we build really good personality traits, but also a really good and positive relationship to sport, to doing activities, because if not, again, in future the grown up young athletes are not gonna be, they don't want to go do any sports. They're gonna be very self-critical. They're gonna suffer maybe from some mental problems and even health problems, and that's not definitely a way how they want to live a life. So that's about trust and respect. I really believe that this is something that's very, very important, because as a coach, you have huge impact on how the players are going to develop, whether it's their physical skills, but also their mental skills. Another pillar that I want you to talk about is rules, because rules provide certainty and help maintain discipline in a team. If there are no rules in the team, if the coach doesn't lead by example, the team is not going to be organized, the team is not going to be disciplined, and that's probably a way to hell. So rules are very important, and there are some rules about making rules. So first of all, a coach needs, if the coach creates some rules, they need to follow them. If they don't lead by example, again, they're gonna lose the respect from players, and the rules are not gonna be very, players won't be able to follow them. They won't be motivated to follow them. So there are some good examples of good practice. For example, the coach states that the lineup will be based on effort in training, and then benches the best player because they slacked off the whole week. So what it means, comparing to some kind of poor practice, it would be that the coach says that the lineup will be made by effort, and then the best player doesn't show up, or he shows up for 1 or 2 trainings, and I don't know, they probably slack the trainings, and the coach puts him in the starting lineup. So if I want players to respect me, I need to do everything that I said that I will do, everything that I promised. If I don't keep my promises, the players are gonna tell themselves, oh well, I don't care about what he says because he's not gonna follow up anyway. Okay, so if I want players to respect me, I need to keep my promises. So don't promise or don't say anything that you know that maybe you won't be able to really do. Okay. Also, another example of good practice in terms of rules is that if the coach breaks a team rule, so he didn't lead by example, example of a good practice is that they apologize and accept the agreed on consequences, okay, whatever it is. So if the coach kind of takes ownership of their mistake, he teaches the players that this is how we react to this kind of situation. If the coach breaks the team rule, and everyone knows that, but he doesn't follow up on it and he ignores it, again, it takes the motivation from players to follow the rules. Okay, so I need to lead by example. If it doesn't work, because it can happen, you are also just a human, then I need to take the ownership, I need to take the responsibility, and I need to show my players how I want them to react when they make a mistake or when they don't follow the rule. So if I want rules to work well, I need to create them, I need to control them, we need to have agreed upon consequences of what happens when someone doesn't follow the rule. The rules need to make sense, they need to be efficient, and also if I don't do this, then there are going to be consequences. So it's going to be, players are not going to be motivated to follow them. Your authority is going to decrease because you didn't follow the rules, and because the players don't believe what you say. All right. So if you want to become a leader, create rules, control them, and also you need to lead by example. Follow the rules. All right. Third pillar is expertise and responsibility. Now, what it means? Expertise is probably very, very basic for you to understand. Of course, the player, if they want to follow you, they need to see that you have something to teach them. They need to see that you know some answers to their questions. They need to see that they can improve by listening to you. But it's not just about knowledge, it's also about taking responsibility when things are going bad. So if I want to be a leader, I need to be able to solve situations as they come, and I need to show my players that I am someone who, if they follow, everything will be good. So what are some examples of good practice? For example, when the team is losing, a coach who wants to be a really good leader really looks for solutions and leads the team. Comparing to poor practice, for example, if the team was losing, the coach would probably yell at the team. The coach wouldn't give them any good information. Maybe I also saw some coaches who would sit on the bench and kind of just given up, like, okay, it's on you guys, you do your thing. So the coaches then separates from the group, and it doesn't create a good relationship, because the players need to see that if we are in a really messy situation, if there is a tense match, for example, we need you to be the leader, we need you to show how to react to this. And if the coach kind of gives up or he becomes very frustrated, the players can lean on him or her, and it's a problem. Again, your authority goes down a little bit. If every single situation that you don't really show that you are the one who solves this, your authority is going to go down. Another example of good practice is in terms of feedback. Again, if you want to be a good leader, you need to provide objective and specific feedback. If the players feel that, you have some favorites, again, they are not going to listen to you because you're not being fair, and because they feel like you don't care about them and you prefer someone else. All right, so try to talk to everyone the same time, at least approximately. Try to give very objective feedback, very specific. Try to really say, okay, this was good, this was not good. Because if you're not going to communicate, or if you communicate too vaguely, then the players are going to stop listening to you because they know that you don't give them any extra information that they need. And then last example that we have here is if the coach makes a mistake. So even coaches make a mistake, and if you make a mistake, they acknowledge this. They again take responsibility. It's very similar to when they break a rule. They take responsibility. They apologize to the team, or they at least acknowledge it in front of the team. And it shows that the coach and the leader is taking responsibility for this. And again, it shows the players that we are all people, all human, and we make mistake, and this is how we want to handle if we make a mistake. Many coaches think that this is gonna decrease the respect they have in players, but it's completely opposite. If they really see that you are human, that you can acknowledge when you made a mistake, the respect they have for you is gonna definitely increase. All right, so what are just the last thing about expertise and responsibility? What are some consequences if you follow the poor practice? It's definitely gonna be a loss of trust in you and respect as a coach. There can be some chaos if you don't step up and solve some situation. There can be some chaos and stagnation, and the team could have very weak team resilience. Okay, so I'm not saying that you have to solve everything for the players. Sometimes it's good to give them responsibility. Okay, guys, this is your situation, try to solve it, but you need to be the one who controls it. Okay, you always have to be in control. It doesn't mean that you don't give them responsibility. It doesn't mean that you don't encourage them to find solutions. It doesn't mean that you don't encourage them to make decisions for themselves, but it means that you are always in control. Okay, and if you feel like they really need you, you are able to step up. For the fourth pillar is about emotional intelligence. Now, I really do believe that the emotional state of a leader affects the emotional state of the players and team, and that's because it's called mirror neurons, which are neurons in our brain that kind of mirror the emotional state of people who are around us, and it's definitely the start of empathy and emotional intelligence. So what we need if we want to become a really good leader, we need to learn how to work with, first of all, with our own emotions, and then how to work with players who are in different emotional states. If we want to talk about good practice, then, for example, in a tennis match, if the coach is in control of their own emotions, and if the coach remains calm and composed, it's gonna like the players are gonna follow up on this. Okay, so if the coach is going to be angry, frustrated, if he kicks the bench, I don't know, throws the ball, or something like that, the players are gonna catch on this as well. So if I want players to have clear mind, if I want them to focus, if I want them to be able to control their emotions, I definitely need to do that for myself as a leader first, and then I need to see and look for different emotional states of my players. Some player can have a good game, some player can have a bad game, and I need to work with these players individually. And the best thing is if the coach really knows the players. Like, you have a player who is very sensitive, you have a player who is very mentally tough and doesn't need much support, but the sensitive player needs your attention, needs your support. I need to look for these kind of types of players, and I need to really learn how to work with them individually, if I want to be a good leader. If not, like, what's the poor practice here? For example, in a tennis match, like we talked about, the coach can lose temper, can yell at the referee, can yell at the kids, at the coaches, at the other coaches. That's definitely gonna catch up on players, and they are gonna get frustrated. They are gonna lose their temper on the pitch. Then another example of poor practice is if a coach really doesn't know how to work with the confidence of player. So after a mistake, I don't know, they can shout at players. They can shout, like, start playing. You have to wake up, and that's not not a very good example of how to react to someone who makes a mistake. And another really important thing about coaches and leaders and about leadership is that the leader needs to teach players how to resolve conflicts and how to support teamwork. Again, if the coach doesn't care about the team atmosphere, doesn't care about the conflicts that the players have, the players are not gonna see him as a leader, because first of all, leader takes care of this. It doesn't mean that the coach should solve everything. It just means that the coach should acknowledge, like, okay guys, I see there is a problem, I really want you to speak it out, I really want you guys to find solution. Come to me after you find a solution, and we're gonna discuss whether it's a good solution for us. Okay, so the coach really needs to be in control of the emotions, of the team atmosphere, and of how we are gonna solve problems in the team. If not, again, what are the consequences of poor practice? If I am a very critical coach, and I don't see, I can't work with the emotions of my players, I can create fear in the team. So the players are not gonna listen to me because they want to. They're gonna listen to me because they are scared that I'm a threat to them. But they can only work temporarily. So if I want really long-term leadership, I can't lead by fear. I can't lead by something like I'm a threat, because no one wants to follow a threat. Biologically, we want to avoid any kind of threats we have, so we are not gonna follow, the players are not gonna follow you if they perceive you as a threat. Then in a tense situations, the consequence, if the coach loses their temper, is that the players have also decreased focus and can't really focus on the game, on their performance. And probably the players also won't be able to stay composed under pressure or intense situations, which I believe is a key for winning important games. Okay, those were 4 pillars of how you can become a really good leader. But you are not the only leader in the team. There are also leaders within the team that will definitely affect the team setting and the team mindset. And it's important that you that you acknowledge that there is some athlete leadership also. Usually there are 3 types of leaders within the team. There is a performance leader, there is motivational leader, and there is social leader. Performance leader is a player who really leads by example in terms of their performance. That's a player who is able to step up when the match is tense. It's a player who is able to take the pressure, and maybe it's a player who thrives under pressure, who is a really good player when it comes to pressure situations. But he doesn't talk much, maybe he doesn't say anything in the dressing room, maybe he doesn't speak much on the pitch, but he really takes responsibility by their performance. Another leader is motivational leader, who is usually the loudest in the dressing room, and it's someone who motivates the team, who gives really positive energy, who tries to kind of make the team motivated for the game. And the last type of leader is a social leader. Again, very important one. The aim of the social leader is to create good interpersonal relationships within the team. So maybe they are not the best player, maybe they are not the most motivational, but they are the ones who take care of team buildings. They are the ones who kind of help players to stick together. They are the ones who solve some interpersonal conflicts. Very, very important, because if there are not good, respectful relationships in the team, it's always going to be shown on the pitch as well. Now, the interesting thing is that many studies show that only 20% of leaders embody more than just one leadership style, which means that usually you have motivational leader, performance, social leader, but there is not a player, or there is not many players who can be performance and motivational leader, or who can be performance and social leader. Usually it's one type of leader, and therefore it's very good to work with a group of leaders, group of athletes, and to work with the leadership group, not just one player like your captain. One player is not enough for you to really impact the team mindset and to really impact the team atmosphere that's going on in the dressing room. Okay, so try to think about your team. Try to think about, okay, who kind of identifies or who shows the characteristics of performance leader, motivational or social leader, and try to create a leadership group from like 4 or 5 players who will be your support. So if you want the team to respect you, first of all, you need these players to respect you, because they kind of, in the pyramid, it's you, then it's them, the leadership group, and then it's the rest of the team. Because if they respect you, probably the whole team will respect you. If not, they can really mess up your position in the team. So again, if you want to create to rise your leadership in the group, try to come up with a leadership group and try to work with them, communicate what's going on with the team, communicate your goals, ask them about what's the situation in the team, how they feel, and what they need, how they want to improve, what's the goal of the team, and you will see that it will help you to have kind of broader impact on the team. All right, we're coming to the end slowly. So what are some takeaway messages from this presentation? For the first one is that every leader is authentic. There is no some kind of right type of a leader, but there are 4 fundamental assumptions for becoming a leader. A leader is not automatically created by getting a job. Okay, getting a job as a coach, it means that you are a coach, but to become a leader, you need to earn respect from players. And you earn the respect by creating an atmosphere of trust, not fear. So don't try to lead by fear, because it's not gonna last very long. And if players fear you, they're probably gonna avoid you, and that's not what you want as a coach. A coach sets rules. They definitely control if they are followed, and most important, they lead by example. So don't promise anything that you can't really follow. Don't do anything that's against the team rules, and if you do, try to acknowledge it in front of the team and make sure that the rules that you set are followed. So definitely always follow up if someone breaks the rule, and there need to be some agreed upon consequences. There need to be physical punishments or anything like that, but try to think with the team, try to think about, okay, what would be appropriate consequence of not following some kind of rule. Another takeaway message is that in tense situations, a coach needs to take responsibility and handle those situations so that the players see that the coach is someone they can lean on. Okay, so look for solutions, try to stay composed under pressure, try to control your emotions, and try to really show the players that you are in control. Again, it doesn't mean that you can't that you can't give them the control, but you are always the first one. When it's tense situation, you're always the first one, and you can kind of choose, okay, I'm gonna give some responsibility to the players, or I'm gonna handle it myself, but you need to make those decisions. And the last takeaway message is that it's very beneficial to have multiple leaders in the team and to work with them. So try to think about who is your personal performance leader, who is your motivational leader, who is your social leader, and try to create a leadership group and work with them as a leadership group, because they impact the mindset and the atmosphere that's in the team. All right, and we are coming to the end. So thank you for your attention, and good luck with your team and with your games and with everything.